a new episode of ET Retail Cafe by ET Retail. And we are here to add some sweetness to your mundane Monday morning because we have with us today Mohit Khattar, who is the CEO of Graviss Foods. Welcome, Mohit, to a new episode of ET Retail Cafe.
Thank you so much, Charu. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me how your retail journey started. Were you always keen to be a part of the retail industry, or it was forced upon you?
Not really forced, but I can't say that, I always wanted to be a retailer. When I started my career, like any other young, employee starts his career, I had no clue where I was going. I just knew that, whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to be good at it. That is all that my aspiration was. I wanted to grow in the field that I was getting into. And I have had a couple of switches along the way. I started my career with the Tatas. In the Tatas, I got posted to, I had joined the Tata Administrative Services. And from there, I got, placed at Titan. Titan was a fabulous company in the early 90s. It still is.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. And that is where the first seeds of retailing were kind of sown. Titan was operating at that point of time a chain of stores called the World of Titan, which were essentially exclusive watch stores. And that's where one learned how a retailing business could be run within the confines of, a very, very popular brand. From there, I moved on to other businesses, to FMCG businesses, and then I again went back to another industry. But that seed of retailing kind of remained inside. And when I got the opportunity, I tried to do more. In one of my businesses that I was handling at that point of time, it was a part of the Murugappa group in the south in Chennai. I realized that, maybe if I opened exclusive stores for bicycles, which was a product that the company made, maybe we could, create some dent in the market. Those were early days. We started off, did well, and I realized that, possibly that line of business itself was a fabulous line of business because it kind of sucks you in so completely. You get your results instantly. The effort that you put in, the changes that you make today, you're able to see the impact of that within a very short span of time. So you always, you try and do something and you're able to see the result of that. And that is something that worked for me personally. So somewhere in, about 15 years into my career, I got the opportunity to join a new startup called Subiksha. And that was my first foray into hardcore retail. Retail was just about taking off at that point of time. Big Bazaar had just about set up. And Subiksha was going to take on Big Bazaar in its own way, with its own proposition. The offer from their side was very compelling, and I couldn't say no. I enjoyed every bit of it. There's only one word to describe my experience there, and that is hectic. Extremely hectic. We were going at the pace of opening one store a day.
Oh, wow.
From the time I joined them when they were about 2 or 3 stores to the time that I left, 2,300 stores. And
it was huge.
We expanded pan-India. We opened about 100 stores each in every large city in the country. So there was plenty to do, lots to learn, lots to unlearn as well. The pace of decision making itself was absolutely something that I have never seen before. And then from Subiksha came the opportunity to join Godrej. Now, Godrej being such a well-known, renowned, and respected name, and Godrej wanted to, they wanted somebody to helm their new venture, which was called Nature's Basket, and they were looking at, how to scale this venture up and so on. And that's where I came in. So from my perspective, my journey into retail was partly accidental, but the time that I have spent in retail, and which is now a good 15, 18 years that I have been in retailing, I have loved every bit of it.
And your interest has kept on building as you kept on
now,
keeping the
from Nature's Basket, then Baskin Robbins happened. Now, Baskin Robbins has been in retailing for the longest of times. It's been in India for the last 30 years, and we've now we're taking the brand to another level. We are growing the business pan-India. And there's just so much more to do even here. So there's never a dull day. And every moment, with Baskin Robbins is always sweet. So
That's nice, Mohit. So tell me one more thing. You have been working from past, say, more than 30
30
years?
plus years, yes.
Yeah. So how have you seen the consumer behavior changing? Because when you're working with Titan, maybe say somewhere around 91, 92, and since then to now, how have you seen the consumer behavior changing?
I think in various ways, consumer behavior has been continuously evolving. Right from the way the consumers make their decision to buy a product, to the way they go and buy the product, to the places where they go and buy the product, almost everything seems to be changing. The ways to influence consumers earlier and now are changing as well. So I don't think anything is changing. If you were to just go back and see what's changing. I mean, are the consumers 30 years ago and today the same? Are their expectations the same? Is their education the same? Is their exposure the same? The answer is no, nothing. Almost nothing is constant. Everything has changed. Uh, Today, consumers, when I look at younger consumers, I mean, they are so aware. They are so well educated. They are so, they understand this product is from here, this flavor is from there, this is the taste of dark chocolate. I mean, whatever. They are extremely well informed, they're extremely well traveled. And I think the exposure that consumers of today have, the consumers of my generation perhaps did not have. They did not have it so easily. I mean, today, 30 years later, I can say, oh, I have all the experience. But fact of the matter is that today, a lot of youngsters have that same nuanced experience when it comes to food, for instance, or when it comes to apparel choices, for instance. So consumers have changed, and I think brands have to keep in step with changing consumers.
So is it difficult to convince the consumer of these days? I mean, or how is it? How does it happen?
I think what has changed is the fact that today the clutter to reach the consumer is far higher. The media vehicles that are available are today far more fragmented, and that's because the consumer interest is far more fragmented. I mean, today consumers can work with 3 devices at the same time. You can be on your phone and laptop and be watching something on television or your iPad. In our generation, we were very single screen focused. So it was relatively easier to reach consumers. Today, it is not so. And therefore, one tends to, I would say that it is perhaps a little difficult to reach consumers, especially if you're targeting consumers who are more discerning. Because the more discerning they are, the more choices they have. And you need to reach them a little, you have to work a little harder to reach them.
So you have worked in the various industries during your course of career. What were the learnings that you have picked, and how are you implying those learnings at Graviss Foods currently?
So my first stint was with the Tatas, with Titan, the Tata Group in general. And if you ask me, the company and the group that has stayed closest to my heart is perhaps the Tatas, for multiple reasons. One, it was my first job, so it was very nostalgic, and the kind of I think the key reason would be the kind of culture that the Tata Group has across its companies, across its businesses, the kind of people that one had the opportunity to work with, and the kind of contribution that I was able to make to the role that I was in. I think that is something that obviously has stayed with me. And if I look back as to why that happened, it is because the culture of the organization was such that every individual was hugely valued. Every individual was treated as, okay, he's here to do a job and let's give him the best environment possible. And to me, that is a learning that has stayed back, which I try and implement across all my roles. So that obviously has stayed with me. The other role where I believe I have learned a lot is the Godrej Group, and again for very similar reasons, very similar to the Tata Group in terms of how they are structured and how and the kind of learnings that one has had, and the kind of respect that is given to people. So that is again something that has stayed with me, and I try and implement it. Of course, there have been functional learnings which have been different across different, businesses.
True.
So, for example, in my Reckitt stint, it was all about learning distribution, the art of just distributing your products far and wide, and managing a efficient supply chain. That is what Reckitt was all about. The other businesses that I have all contributed in some or the other way. But today, if I was to look at, what is it that I'm implementing at Baskin Robbins, I would say I'm implementing a bit of everything that I have learned, because I am a composite of, all my learnings. So whether it is how to build a business, how to communicate about a business, how to ensure profitability in the bottom line, how to ensure that your team remains motivated. I think those have all been composite learnings which have come along the way. And one is able to add value to the business in some or the other way on an ongoing basis.
So there must be three qualities that you are actually inculcating in your current employees to make them future leaders.
Yes.
Going ahead. So which are those three qualities?
To me, the most significant is that I trust my guys to deliver. And obviously, everybody is given the opportunity to deliver. Number two, I think there is a culture that I'm trying to build in the organization, which is a culture of openness. It's transparency. People are free to talk about their issues. When I say their issues, it's not so much their personal issues as in ground issues. And they're not shouted back upon. Which is something I have learned along the way, that the more aggressive you are when you're treating your employees, the less transparent they tend to be.
Yeah.
That's been my learning, and which is why I try very hard to be patient. I try very hard to be as open with them as possible. And it is not something which is a put on act. It stems from your personality as well. So that is something that I believe helps. When you're open, when you're transparent, employees tend to share with you the smallest of problems, and that sometimes can then become a trigger for you to take an action within the business. A policy, a program, a process, a price, a product, whatever it is. You can kind of action that. So to me, those are the two qualities that I think which I like to build in the culture of the organization. This is something I tried at Godrej as well, and this is something that I have tried at Baskin Robbins as well.
So I'll again come back to your long journey in the retail industry. When you see that technology is actually shaping up the retail industry these days,
yes,
was it a hurdle for you initially? Because I mean,
I'm not a tech guy. Yeah.
So I mean, but there is in retail at every point there is technology somehow. I mean,
yes.
So how did you cope up? How did you learn the things? I mean, was it a difficult time for you, and was it easy for you to grip the things, or how did you take it?
So let me give you some examples. Now, technology has come in many different avatars. So there is no one definition of what technology. It has come in the way we communicate. It has come in the way we collect data. It has come in the way we push data. It has come in the way we train our employees, etc., etc. So it's multiple ways, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Do you know which year Facebook started in the country?
Somewhere in 2000 early.
It was 2004. I was one of the first people on Facebook in India. Not because of anything else, but because I wanted to advertise my businesses on Facebook, but I couldn't do so because nobody understood what Facebook was.
Yeah.
Right? Similarly, when Twitter came, and I think Twitter came in the year 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
By that time, I was in Godrej. I was one of the first to open my account on Twitter for the simple reason that I eventually wanted my brand to be on Twitter. And so on and so forth. This is just giving you small examples of communication. There have been other, just to give you another very small example from Baskin Robbins. Now, forever we were operating in a thing wherein data was being collected from outlets, and data was being pushed to outlets through either pen drives or through various other non-digital means in some way, right? You can easily automate these things, and then data can be pushed automatically and gathered automatically. It wasn't always the case. So these are just very small instances. I'll give you a third example. The way we train our employees, right? Now, training has forever been, for example, face-to-face training, and that has been the almost the face of the retail industry, where everything is done face-to-face. We figured that while it's the most effective, no questions asked, it is also the most problematic. It's also the most cost-intensive. So can we find simpler solutions? And in Baskin Robbins, for example, we've now moved into an app-based learning platform for our employees at every outlet, for every store staff. There are induction modules, and there are retraining modules, and there are whatever you have. So now this is adopting technology into each and every process in the organization. I can't say that I am a tech guru. I am not. I really am not. The only thing I can do is I can surround myself with people who know better than me, especially when it comes to technology. I can stay abreast of what's happening in terms of trends. So whether it is artificial intelligence or big data computing or whatever you have, maybe some parts of it are applicable to my business right now, and some parts may become applicable in the near future. So what I can do is to stay abreast and to ensure that the organization that I'm building is adaptable and flexible enough to adapt these technologies as and when they become relevant.
So, but Mohit, there are certain industries where people are very scared of technology taking their jobs away. What if technology takes your job someday? What will you do?
On a lighter note, maybe I'll sit and I'll interview you and tell you that you were the first person to tell me so. But jokes apart, I still believe that the role of a leader perhaps requires, there is that intrinsic human element, as some of my colleagues will say. And I think that is very critical. You can send a craft to the moon, but somebody still needs to fire it to go to the moon. Somebody still needs to marshal resources, define the processes, raise its, whatever, the periphery or the perimeter, whatever, and ensure that it lands on the moon.
Yeah.
So I think the role of a leader involves all of this. And you still need those hardcore decisions on processes, on people, on ensuring that the organization, is working in a cohesive manner. And I think that's what I bring to the table with all the experience that one has gathered across all the businesses that one has worked in. I think that is what I'm able to bring to the table. So hopefully I may have a little longer to to work and not get replaced so easily.
So we have seen the retail industry evolving post-COVID at a very rapid pace.
Yes.
Right. So, but challenges still, many retailers face the challenges. And what are those challenges which the retailers are facing on the common ground? And what solutions do you think are there which can help solve the problem in a larger picture?
See, retail industry is changing. It is evolving. If I was to go back, there were no supermarkets. Late 90s, maybe when you would have been a small kid, there were no supermarkets. Then the first supermarket started emerging. Then there were many, many brands of supermarkets. Then there was consolidation. There was consolidation not just at a brand level where, one retailer took on the other retailer, but also in terms of what kind of assortment they needed to carry and so on and so forth. And it has, gone along. Then physical retail faced its first challenge when online retail came in, and online retail suddenly started growing. And then how do you incorporate online retail within the, boundaries of physical retail? That became the next challenge. Today, online retail is growing, e-commerce is growing. Within e-commerce, now there is quick commerce that's coming. So there are going to be challenges. It's going to continue. I don't think any of that is going to change. So what is the answer? How does any business adapt? Even in, for example, Baskin Robbins today, if you ask me when I joined this business, maybe 6 years ago, online was nil.
Okay.
The entire business was fully brick and mortar, offline. Today, a third of our business comes online.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, and it hasn't happened in a day. It has been built to grow and built to ensure that, we are getting growth not just offline, we are also growing online. So these opportunities will come, but what is it that businesses need to do? If that is the question, I would say that to begin with, I think the first and foremost thing is consumer centricity. If your consumers are shopping offline and your consumers are also shopping online, then your business needs to be in both places. As a consumer, today I feel like going out with my family and I feel like going out. The next day, I'm tired and I don't feel like going out and I want to order things at home. But I want to order from the same brand. So why should the brand not be available? And I think it's just following the consumer, which then becomes critical. And that defines your journey for you in some ways. Number one. Number two is, as I mentioned to you, staying abreast of technology.
Yeah.
What technology can do for you. I am not a tech expert. I genuinely always say this. I'm not a tech expert, but I have a team that knows better than me, and I only trust my judgment in terms of, okay, yes, this thing seems to be growing, and yes, it can add value to our business. That evaluation to me is critical. Because that's what I bring to the table. I don't bring the technology to the table, but I can assess whether this technology is going to be useful or not for us at this point of time in the life stage of our business. So to me, these two things are absolutely critical. Rest, other than that, what do retail businesses need to have to grow over the longer term or to sustain? I think there are various other things. They could be regulation and compliances. They could be, keeping in, ensuring that your business is omni-channel. This seems to be the mantra which all retail businesses have to follow. But having said this, I can tell you that competition is only going to intensify.
Yeah.
There are going to be more brands that will possibly come in from the West into India and vice versa. I think there are as many Indian brands who will possibly go out and, establish themselves outside the country. So the traffic is going to be two ways. It's going to happen. But yeah, wherever businesses go, whether they come into India or whether we go there, it has to be based on what the consumer wants, what your target consumer wants.
So where do you foresee the retail industry 10 years from now?
I foresee it, and when you talk about retail, I'm assuming you're talking about, the organized retail industry. Yeah. So I assume that it will continue to grow, it will continue to prosper, it will continue to be more structured than it is at this point of time. I think it will be a lot more consumer friendly than what it is right now. I think there will be many, many more instances where, they're talking about predictive modeling and so on and so forth. So I think all of that is going to be, it's already a reality for various online businesses. It's not still a reality for a lot of the brick and mortar businesses. But adopting some of those technologies into, our business models here can also help. And it is bound to happen. It is happening. It is happening. It is happening. And it is bound to, so that is going to be a part and parcel. I also think that the industry will get more, nuanced and structured. Within every, there will be healthier options and there will be the indulgent options and so on and so forth. We have even seen in the ice cream industry, for instance, there are the full-blown indulgence brands like Baskin Robbins, and then there are the, the good for you, healthy brands like the Brooklyn Creamery or some of the others.
So coming up with niche categories.
Yes. Yes, so I think niche retail will develop because consumers today, every consumer segment, even if you talk about consumers who are health conscious, that segment is growing. It's not a static segment. So just as, a lot of people are, do go for indulgent products, there is also a growing segment. It may be small today, but it's growing. And that's where I say that, niche products will continue to do well. They may be very small today, but they will find their audience as, as time goes.
So as we discuss about the future of retail, I would also like to know about the future of Baskin Robbins. Where do you see the brand 5 years from now?
I think Baskin Robbins, in the last couple of years, we've done reasonably well for ourselves. We've today We've become a pan-India brand. We are present across 250 plus cities. We are a multi-channel brand. We operate about 850 plus parlors in India and another maybe 25 odd across some of the SAARC countries that we operate in from India. In addition to, we are present in modern trade, food service accounts, multiplexes, airlines, etc., etc. We've done reasonably well. We are growing. We've grown at about 30% plus over the last couple of years. This year, again, our growth rates are absolutely, as we had predicted at the beginning of the year, closer to a 24, 25%. So it seems to be going in the right direction. If you ask me where are we going to be in the next couple of years, I would say that we will possibly be, in the next 5 years, we should be, if not more than double of our current size, both in terms of, not in terms of number of stores, but possibly in terms of our reach across, especially the retail channel. In terms of turnovers, for sure, I think our healthy growth rates will continue. Our focus as an organization that we have built has been around innovation. How do we innovate to grow? And so, many people think that, okay, ice creams mein kya hai? Ek aur flavor bana diya. So that is innovation. But that is not really the case. I mean, while that is part of our business, yes, and we do innovate in flavors, and we have a flavor bank of 1,500 flavors.
Oh.
But having said this, our growth is not just coming from introducing a new flavor. It is coming from, changing the perception of ice creams from ice creams to dessert-based solutions. So today, if you wish to have a cheesecake, or today if you wish to have a gulab jamun, or you wish to have maybe a lava cake or a brownie or a hot waffle, you can get it all at a Baskin Robbins. And a lot of these products, while they may not be dramatically new, in the QSR space, the way they are served, the way they are offered, the kind of quality that we are able to bring in has been valued by customers. And that is what is leading our growth in a very big way. It is leading customers to come back to us again and again. It is increasing our average ticket sizes. And that is what is giving us that growth. It is giving us that differentiation vis-a-vis other businesses in the market. Ensuring that our products are available in a as wide a manner in the online space has been again another decision that has worked very well for us. So whether it is the aggregator platforms, whether it is the e-commerce or the quick commerce platforms, I think we've been quite successful in ensuring that our presence there is better than perhaps many other brands that are supposedly bigger than us in terms of revenues. So that has worked well for us. Today we are working on a huge amount of customer data. We've started getting in customer data, and we're working on that data to ensure, how do you kind of micro segment this and ensure that you're able to micro market to each such segment. If there's a small segment of people who buy only between the 1st and the 5th of the month, what can I do to them? What can I get them? What can I do to get them back for another purchase? And so on and so forth.
And adding personalization and custom.
And personalization, I mean, this is all technology that you spoke about, Finally, it's all happening. And it's happening with good team members and good partners. So
the journey seems to be very sweet for Baskin Robbins that way.
So far, yes.
So Mohit, before we wrap it up, I'll have a quick chat with you, this is rapid fire kind of a thing.
Sure.
But I will not give you a chance to think about it. You have to rapidly, I'll fire the questions at you and you have to answer them. Cool.
I'll try.
Your favorite business book and what have you learned from that?
I think there's a book that I had read some time back. It was, I think, by a writer called Simon Sinek. And that book is about, the book was called Last to Eat. So it talks about how leaders must prioritize the well-being of their employees.
Okay.
Right? And how organizations must talk about values like empathy, listening, cooperation. These are not things that we speak about in the organization on a day in, day out basis. But he speaks about the importance of these in building a culture of caring in the organization. Now, that's something that resonated with me, and therefore I kind of recall it.
So, one retailer or the retail brand that you admire a lot, and why?
India or outside?
Anywhere.
So let me take two examples from the food industry. Apart from Baskin Robbins, I would say that
No bias answer.
I would say, there are two brands that I can talk about as retail brands. McDonald's, I think, has done a fabulous job everywhere in the world. Very good. The way they kind of innovated within India, whether it was the, launching an aloo tikki burger, or whether it was naming their products Maharaja Mac and so on and so forth. The way they customized it to India, and the kind of innovation and the quality of innovation that they have done, pretty good, very consistent. And after so many years in the business, and that's what tells you that there is a culture that is driving the organization. So that's something which I admire. I also admire the way in the recent few years, Haldiram's has built up as a brand. Very Indian. The ethos is completely Indian. The setup, everything, the products, Haldiram's, yeah.
Mohit, my next question to you is that so everybody knows that Mohit is the CEO of Baskin Robbins, but nobody knows what Mohit likes to do in his free time. So, what do you prefer?
I'm a very simple guy, Charu. I like to spend time with my family. I love music. I don't play any music though, but I love listening to it. I like watching movies. I love to eat. I love to, eat different kinds of food. That's my weakness. And I like visiting friends. So very, very simple interests, nothing complicated. Maybe read a little sometimes, yeah.
Simple living, that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so one life-changing decision that has actually shaped your career and it has taken it to new heights.
So I don't believe that there has been one such decision, to be honest. I can count at least 3 of these.
I'm all used to it.
Okay. So I think my first decision of leaving the Tata Group had its own impact because I kind of left. Nobody leaves the Tata Group, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of left it because I was in a city where I didn't want to be, and I wanted to be in Delhi. Delhi is my hometown, was my hometown. And I wanted to be there. So I left everything and I went to Delhi. It didn't necessarily work out for me. That's another point. But that was life-changing because I left something that I truly valued and I value till date. So that was the first. The second life-changing decision that I took this time with more thought was my decision to move to Chennai with a company which was in the consumer space, but it was in the engineering. The mindset was very engineering, which was the Murugappa group that I moved into. Going to Chennai from Delhi was not easy because the mindset that everybody had, about how you will survive and so on and so forth. And I discovered that it's, especially when you leave your comfort zone, things can actually look up. And that's what happened to me. I think I literally started blooming when I left Delhi. And to me, that is something that has stayed close to my heart. And the last was the decision to move back to Bombay and to work with Godrej and then eventually with Baskin Robbins. I think these have been decisions which have had an equal impact on my life. And I obviously, if I look back on the journey, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Do you regret something?
No, not really. I'm happy with all the choices because it's very easye to look back and say, "Arey, ye theek nahi hua, wo theek nahi hua." But fact of the matter is that you're yourself responsible for your decisions. And the idea is to make the most of, whatever you have decided and to give it 100% each time, every single day. That's what I have learned even growing up as a child. Let me give you a small anecdote,
Yeah, sure.
When I was a very small child, and I was always good at studies. I was a good student, used to score well and so on and so forth. And I asked my father, I was very inspired by somebody, by some leader and whatever. I said, how do people become so big? So, and he told me that, kya farak padta hai? You only have to work hard. And, things will automatically fall in place. So there was a very, very easy thing. There was nothing difficult about it. कि तुम अपनी मेहनत करो, अपने आप फल मिलेगा. It was a very simple advice, and I have followed it to the T. I don't think there has been a day that I have not worked hard or I have not wanted to work hard, because for me that is the only way of life. And fortunately, God's been kind that things have also fallen in place for me. So
Okay, so my last question to you is one quality of yours that you want other leaders to learn from you.
okay, I'm told that I'm a good listener. I'm also told that I look at the details. So I think those are two qualities which I'm sure every leader already has. But if there is something that maybe youngsters want to learn, maybe that's something that they could look at. Don't go by the glossy and the glitzy stuff always. There's a lot more in the detail. And be patient with your team members. Listen to them. There might be details that you will be missing otherwise.
Thank you, Mohit, for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Charu, and it's been a pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much.
Hope you got to learn a lot from Mohit today, because every new episode is a new learning for me. I'll see you again next week. Till then, bye-bye.